Folge 30, Paul Jaminet, The Perfect Health Diet.
Evolution Radio Show, dein Programm für evolutionäre Gesundheit, Training und höchste Performance.
In dieser Folge haben wir Paul Jaminet, den Autor des Buchs The Perfect Health Diet, zu Gast. Er spricht über Kohlenhydrate, Darmgesundheit und sichere Stärken. Wie bestimmt man eigentlich, wie viele Kohlenhydrate man essen soll und welche? Warum und wie hängt die Darmgesundheit mit den Kohlenhydraten zusammen? Was sind eigentlich sichere Stärken? Außerdem erklärt er uns, wie man mit der zeitlichen Koordinierung der Nährstoffaufnahme, dem Nutrient Timing, seine Ernährung verbessern kann. Und noch ein Hinweis für die Zuhörer, die das Podcast zum Beispiel über iTunes auf ihrem iPhone hören. Die Folge wird im englischen Original ausgestrahlt, aber in den Shownotes auf evolutionradioshow.de/030 findest du den Text des Interviews auch auf Deutsch, inklusive dem Video mit den deutschen Untertiteln.
Paul Jaminet, thanks for having the time to talk to Evolution Radio Show. We heard two interesting talks from you at the Paleo Convention and now here at the German Ancestral Health Symposium, Deutsche Gesellschaft für Paleoernährung. And we wanted to actually not talk about your talk specifically, but really a question near and dear to our hearts. So it's the amount of carbs someone can tolerate is very individual. So not everybody needs or can tolerate the same amount of carbs. So are there any kind of markers, or how do you determine the amount of carbs that you eat or that you would suggest somebody to eat?
Well, I would tend to differ a little bit, and I think most people will do well on pretty similar amounts of carbs. And when we have individual differences, that's often diagnostic for certain health conditions. Often gut dysbiosis, bad bacteria in the gut will alter, or germs of other kinds will alter the amount of carbs or how people respond to carbs. But I think for most people there's a common range that works very well. Young children and power athletes will tend to do very well eating 40% carbs as a percentage of energy, and people who do adults who are sedentary or who do more endurance activity will tend to do well on 30% carbs. And so I'd say that's probably a range which will be very good for just about everyone. And then some people have, they have bad gut bacteria, and of course carbs are the largest source of fiber. And so if you do very well on a low-carb diet, it suggests that, you have something going on in your gut. And the low-carb diet can ameliorate the symptoms, but it can be risky to stay low-carb long-term because the immune system also needs carbohydrates. And ultimately, to heal, you want to replace the bad bacteria with good bacteria, and you need fiber to do that as well. So, for a cure, so low-carb tends to be more a method of relieving symptoms rather than a long-term cure.
So, you said the carbs are the high source of fiber, which is bad for the bacteria, but you also need it for healing of the gut. So that's quite not contradictory in it, but it's hard to actually get something out of it. So how would you actually tweak a diet? I mean, in phases, is the healing the gut is the first step, or how would you?
It's one of the most important steps. So there's various things you can do, like intermittent fasting and training circadian rhythms, which I spoke about today. You need to nourish your immune system. So, for instance, vitamin A, vitamin D are very important in allowing your immune system to control gut bacteria. So those are needed for the production of antimicrobial peptides, which the immune system can release into the gut in places where you have bad microbes. So being well nourished can help you to recover from a bad gut situation. So you kind of need to both encourage the good germs and discourage the bad ones, and the good ones will ultimately be required to help you overcome. So the immune system can't do it alone; it needs help from beneficial bacteria. And in extreme cases, people can benefit from fecal transplants where they get good bacteria from a healthy person.
And that drives away the bad bacteria then.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, nothing fights bad bacteria better than good bacteria.
So then, you're a big proponent about safe starches. So not all carbs are equal. Do you want to just quickly, like cliff notes, what are safe starches? How do you define it? So.
Yeah, well, safe for us means lacking in toxins. So lacking in negative effects. So they have nutrition, including glucose as a nutrient. Resistant starch, a form of fiber, is a very nourishing form of fiber. Natural whole food starchy plants like potatoes have many minerals, including potassium, which is important. So we're getting a variety of nutrition. And all plants can form toxins. And, so potatoes they're generally low in toxicity if they're well handled. But if you expose them to light, heat, moisture, if you allow the skin to be broken, then they'll generate some toxins. So it's good to cut away discolored portions of potatoes. And, so all plants, we have the risk of generating some toxins, and some plants have more toxins than others. So we know there are poisonous plants. And then there are others where the toxicity is lower, so they don't cause disease, they don't cause acute poisoning, but they may have insidious effects over many decades. And so we're concerned about some plants like wheat, for instance, cereal grains, that have digestive inhibitors and can affect our biology. And, we're concerned that there may be insidious negative effects over the course of a lifetime from consuming these. So we recommend against certain foods that have known low levels of toxins, not enough to cause immediate poisoning, but potentially risky over the course of a lifespan. So what we call safe starches are starches, all of them have some toxins in their raw state, but in some plants the toxins are all destroyed during cooking. And white rice is one of those, potatoes, low in toxicity if they were well handled, and a number of others. So that's what we mean by safe starches.
Okay, thanks. And another big topic is often nutrient timing, or in this case specifically carb timing. Is there some evidence to it that, don't eat carbs in the evening, or just eat carbs in the evening and not before lunch? Or is there any evidence for it, or what can you tell us?
Well, I would generally recommend eating balanced meals. So every meal should contain some carbohydrates. There's some evidence that if you slightly tweak carbohydrates toward the evening, then you may sleep better. If you slightly tweak protein toward the morning, then you may do better. And the reason for that is that protein we don't store, and so the levels are highest after we've eaten, and then they're lowest after the overnight fast. And if you eat more protein for breakfast, then you'll even out protein levels in the body over the course of the day, and that might be advantageous. But those are just like tweaks, so most healthy people will have enough protein, enough carbohydrates if you're eating well to see them through 24 hours, even if you have a long overnight fast. And so you don't really need to optimize that too strongly. I think it's a very bad idea to eat at night, so you should do all of your eating in the daytime. The afternoon is the best time to eat, so you should try to get most calories in the afternoon. So have a large midday meal and snack in the afternoon, and have a smaller supper in the early evening.
Great. So you have a book, The Perfect Health Diet, currently only in English. Any plans to get it in German?
Yeah, we're working on that. So we'd really love to have a German publisher. And so one reason I'm here is hoping to help get our book published in Germany. And we're also working with a restaurant in Düsseldorf, and they've adopted our diet. So one nice thing about our diet is it's very delicious. it's in the proportions that are very close to what our brain most enjoys, and so it's very similar to gourmet cuisines, and we hope the restaurant will do very well.
Great, and you also have a blog where you constantly and tirelessly blog, so where can people find you online?
Yeah, that's at perfecthealthdiet.com, so the same address as our book.
Okay, perfect. So we will put all those links in the show notes. Paul Jaminet, thanks again for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Und in der nächsten Folge haben wir tolle Tipps für dich, wie du mit einer Low-Carb-Ernährung dein Diabetes noch besser im Griff hast. Wir sprechen über die wichtigsten Mikronährstoffe, die besten Lebensmittel für dich, welche Vorteile Ketose hat und wie du damit deine Kohlenhydrattoleranz herausfinden kannst. Und wir haben die 5 besten Tipps, wie du deine Insulinresistenz verbessern kannst.